How you guys doing today? So this is my first video. It is going to be about Draftkings League of Legends. So I've been playing Draftkings League of Legends since the pandemic started about 2.5 to 3 months ago. I really got big into it in about early April. Between April and May, I actually profited um, just under $4,000 for 30 days. So we had a pretty good stretch there. If you ever do see any of my lineups, it's Scoville Chris up here in the top corner, Scoville Chris with the little Joe Exotic little win symbol. Um, so I don't really know how to go about this video. It's my first one, and I'm going to try getting into them daily going forward for the summer slate, League of Legends, the LPL. The LCK doesn't pick back up until June 17th, I believe, but we get some LPL action 2 and 3 game slates from today until the 17th. So we're going to get back into it right away. Tonight's slate specifically is an interesting one for me because I break down my slates based off of, do I think this slate looks like a cash game lineup slate or a tournament lineup slate? I know a lot of big pros, they mass enter the big tournaments, they play the optimal lineups in cash, but I'm one of those people who builds just 1 to 3 lineups a night and runs with those 1 to 3 lineups. I don't like to build 20 to 50 lineups and then have nights where I either win huge or lose huge. I stick to it. I stick to my routines. So breaking down tonight's slate is going to be a little weird because, in my opinion, it is a tournament slate, and I am much more of a cash game player. So I think it's a tournament slate because, for starters, both of these games are pretty close, almost coin flips on Bovada. Suning's a minus 200 over LNG at plus 145, a little bit bigger of a favorite than Edward Gaming over Team Wii. This game specifically, Edward Gaming versus Team Wii, is probably going to be the game that decides if your lineups hit or not. I know Suning Gaming is probably going to be pretty heavily owned in both cash and tournaments. This LNG versus Suning game is going to be a lot bloodier than this Edward Gaming and Team Wii on paper. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Edward Gaming actually had the best defense last year in the LPL during the spring split and died the least. So even though Team Wii came alive during the playoffs last year and 3-1 to E-Star, I'm not so sure that this is going to be as bloody as some of us want it to be. Here, Suning versus LNG. Suning is just like Team Wii in the fact that they both went, I believe, under 500. Yeah, Suning went 7-9. LNG went 5-11. Suning is like Team Wii. They went 8-8. In the fact that when they do win, when they are favorites and they are playing a team that's not great on defense, they can blow the slate open. They can be the highest scoring team on the slate. Hyun Fang from Suning, Angel from Suning, they can score 90 to 120. Team Wii, you have Teacher Ma, you got Ju Meng, and even at the jungler Bisheng, they can all score just a ton of points. But Edward Gaming plays really good defense, so here's how I'm going to break down this slate for tonight. I think for cash, because obviously people are still going to play cash, you're going to need a 4-man stack of Suning and a 3-man stack of Edward, if you can fit it. If you can't, I still think a 4-man stack of Edward and a 3-man of Suning is okay for cash. It makes me a little worried because this game is a little bit closer in favorites, but Edward Gaming plays really good defense. And with it being the first game of the year, I think both these teams are going to come out a little timid. And it is the LPL, so I could be wrong. They usually are just balls to the wall. But I don't know. I think that Edward Gaming can pull this off. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm not going to have exposure to Team Wii. In one of my 3 lineups, I will definitely have some Team Wii exposure. If they do win, they can blow the slate off, like I said, like the top off the slate, like I said. LNG Esports is one of those teams I don't know if I'm going to have any exposure to tonight. I'm not saying you shouldn't, because if you're somebody who plays more than 1 to 3 lineups, you're going to want some exposure. They're only a plus 145, which is still almost a coin flip. And they're playing Suning, who dies a ton when they do lose. So this game is going to be bloody. LNG and Suning. I think that the winner of this game could really be your leverage point for either cash or tournaments. While you need to get the second one right for tournaments, and in cash, I think Edward Game is going to be pretty high owned. I don't know how high owned anybody from Team Wii is going to be. Maybe Jumeg, maybe Teacher Ma at a low price point, hoping that they lose 2-1. That's never going to be a strategy I go with. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but for cash, I'm never going to try to roster a losing player. Really in tournaments either. I don't ever really try to roster a losing player. Like in the best of fives, you can get Knight who can score 90 to 110, but the winners usually still score like 150, 130 to 150. Doing B 155, something like that. Sorry, I'm getting a little off topic, but however, my three lineups are going to probably look like a cash lineup of Suning and Edward, a tournament lineup of Suning and Team Wii, and then the last one I'm still going to construct later. I'll probably update it in the comments on this video. I'm still going to have to do some more data before I decide if I'm going to go with LNG for anything or not tonight. Here's why. So even though Suning went 7 and 9, LNG went 5 and 11, only a 2-game difference. Look at their game difference. So that's their match difference. 7 and 9. Oops, sorry. 7 and 9, 5 and 11. They only went 2 games different in match. But for games right here, Suning was only a -3, which means when they were losing 2-1 and keeping it close, while LNG was losing, it was -11. So LNG was just getting rolled 2-0 all the time. Obviously, Victory 5 is the worst. They only won like 3 games or something the whole year and 0 matches. But LNG was just getting rolled, and then occasionally would pop off and 2-1 or 2-0 somebody. Usually not a very good team either. I think Suning's going to try to make a statement for not making the playoffs too. I'm probably going to have 100% exposure in my 3 lineups to Suning, and probably 66% Edward and 33% Wii, with one of them being a 4-man stack of Wii to really get my leverage point in case that game does pop off for whatever reason. So let's get into some builds here, who my favorite plays are for the night. So I'm going to say my favorite plays from all 4 teams, because if you do disagree with me about LNG, I'm not going to just not cover them at all. Alright, so for when you're constructing a League of Legends lineup in your captain position, you're always going to want either a jungler, a mid, or an ADC. If you're in mass entry tournaments, you can maybe try a support, you can maybe try a top laner. I know Zoom has gone off, I know 369 has gone off. But, you know, 80 to 90% of the time, your ADC and your mid are your 2 highest players, unless your jungler really pops off and has a good game, which can happen. Kanavi from JD Gaming was MVP last year with like 13 MVPs or something crazy. But yeah, no, never ever roster a team spot in your captain spot. So if you're new to League of Legends and this is just like a beginner video for you and you're thinking about just doing some small stuff, never roster a team spot as your captain. The most a team's going to score in a best of 3 is probably like 60 points, so 90, and you're just looking for way more than that out of your captain spot if you're trying to cash. Alright, so for my cash game lineup, I actually have not built any yet, so if I don't have anything fitting, it's because I'm building it right now as we speak. I still have my own custom projections that I do, but I don't release those yet. I'm thinking about coming up with a system where maybe that people can subscribe to me or something if this video pops off or future videos pop off. So I'm pretty sure that Jai Jai is starting. No, I think Junji is. Sorry, Jai Jai is not starting. I think Junji is starting. He's in here somewhere. Yeah, I think Junji is actually going to start for Ever Gaming. Yeah, I have projected for Junji. Okay, so if we're looking here, for our cash game lineup, we're going to want a 4-man stack of Edward Gaming or Suning and 3 of the other that we don't do. You want to stack a 4-3 stack, especially when it's only a 2-game slate. If it's a 3-game slate, you can go 4-2-1 or 3-3-1, 3-2-2 even. If they all hit, you need to get all winners right, obviously. But for a 2-man or a 2-game slate, you're going to want a 4-man stack from the winning and a 3-man stack from another winning team. So let's start with my favorite plays. So if you want to pay up tonight, Hope versus Edward Gaming is the most expensive player on the salary. Sorry, most expensive player on the slate. And the reason I don't know why if I love that or not is because they are the smaller favorite versus Team Wheat, and it is projected to be the less bloodier of the games. So if you're going to pay up for an ADC, I like Hyun Fang against LNG. Hope did average a little bit more a few more points per game, but I think that is actually including his playoffs. So he got to play some best of fives against Royal Never Give Up and popped off for like 130 or 40. Let's see if I can look at him actually. I think that includes his playoffs. I could be wrong. Well, let me scroll. Oh, there we go. Sorry, game load. And yeah, 164 against Royal Never Give Up, and even 79 in a loss, a 1-3 loss. 164 though is the reason that he popped off. Other than that, 79, 41, 92 is not bad. 72. He popped off for 108 against LNG, which is who Suning is playing tonight. Billy Gaming, he had a 98. So he is pretty consistent still, as you can see, 91, 94. But towards the end of the season, 72, 41, 79, 78, even in a best of five. And the most expensive player on the slate, and the closer of the two games is just not what I want to pay up for my captain spot. Not saying in one of my three lineups he might not make it, but Hyun Fang is probably my favorite ADC on the slate, not Hope. So we're going to go to ADC, our ADC position, maybe. Sorry, like I said, I don't use this. I use mobile most of the time, so I'm still learning. And we're going to plug in Hyun Fang here. Alright, let's look at our top laners. Aoדי with just a considerable amount higher points per game. Again, it's probably because he did the best of five series, and everybody who won in a 3-1 against Royal Never Give Up probably popped off. So everybody from, if you're just looking at last season's fantasy points per game, you should really tread lightly on that if you don't actually do like your own in-depth research, because as you can see, I almost pointed with my finger, 122 points. And then he only had 44, and when he got 4 games, 71, 88. Actually, the 88 against Billy must have been a really bloody game. 13, 22, that's pretty good. Only 8 deaths. But yeah, he had a 50, 49. So, a 50 even in a win against VC. So, his upside is limited, and he's the most expensive top laner on the slate. But 6,200 is not too expensive. The other day in some of his other slates, Zoom was going for like 6,600. Who was it? Hanabi from Talon Esports. He was going for a ton as well. So Bin is starting for Suning tonight. They had Bin and Biu last year, and Biu was actually scoring a little bit higher. Bin was their lower scoring of the two tops, so I don't love him. If you think that We Game is going to win, then Morgan is a good play, because Morgan was a very good top laner this year. Popped off in the playoffs too. Even 102 in a 3-game series with a loss. 102 in a loss. That's got to be the highest loss I've ever seen. 69 in a loss. That's unrealistic almost for a top laner. So if you're just looking for a one-off, you can go with Morgan. If you're looking to stick with the 4-3 stack, either Aoדי or Bin. I don't love Bin. I actually would pay up the extra 200 for Aoדי over Bin. Moving on to jungler. So I believe Junjia is starting over Jai tonight. Jai actually had, and if I'm saying any of these names wrong, you can correct me, but Jai was the higher scorer. Again, though, I think he might have been the one playing. You know what? I was wrong. Junjia was the one playing. I apologize. So Jai had 55-29, but before that he was actually popping off 98-64, 103. So yeah, his ceiling is a little bit higher than Junjia's. Junjia's probably gonna have that one big game though. Yeah, 130, because it was a 5-game series, not a 3. Other than that though, he never hit those 90s. So obviously it's a new season, and we need to tread lightly because stuff's going to change. There's new patches on the game, but if Jai were playing, he has a little bit of a higher ceiling. Junjia still is not a bad play, but 6,800 is getting a little pricey up there. You do have SFM, who was actually a little bit better scorer last season. And And as you can see, he's one of those ones where he wasn't like Morgan, where he can pop off in a loss. Win 91-70, loss 47-21-17. So it wins though 86, 74, 96. He's got a really high ceiling, especially for a jungler for only 6,800. That kind of shows you. Look, he's actually averaging a point more than Junji, and Junji's win percentage was much higher. So SFM can absolutely pop off. And actually, my favorite jungler on the slate is B Shang. This is where I was waiting to get to. B Shang averaging 76 points a game last split. The problem is they're playing Edward Gaming, and Edward Gaming does not die that often. Junjie does die a little bit more than Jai Jai, but overall, Edward Gaming as a team dies the least amount on this slate. So if you do think that Wii Game is going to pop off in a bloody win, definitely get some B Shang action. However, for my cash game lineup, I like S of M. Okay, moving on to the mid. This is kind of a toss-up. Angel is an absolute beast. Scout is an absolute beast. Maple is actually very good, and it's kind of crazy to me to see Teacher Maw the lowest price player on the slate. The only reason Teacher Maw is the lowest price starter. The only reason Teacher Maw is that low is again because Edward Gaming dies the least on the slate. So if you think that Wii Gaming is going to win, if you think that is going to be much bloodier than you think, Edward Gaming did get a little bloody in the playoffs. Teacher Maw is a great option. Teacher Maw, again, back in the jungler, Bishang, and I'm going to skip forward really quick, 80 carry Jumeng. That is probably going to be your best leverage stack for the night. If you think they're going to pop off, that is just an amazing leverage stack. They can score 100 to 130 apiece. They really can pop off. However, if you're just sticking with the cash game lineup, Teacher Maw is probably out of the question. Even if they do lose 1-2, I don't think he puts up the 70, 80 points that you want out of your mid laner. I think you can get like 50 to 60 in the L. Same with Maple. Maple's probably going to score 40 or 50 if they lose, maybe even 40 if they lose, or even 30 if they lose 0-2. So this is where you need to decide between Angel and Scout. Scout actually really played well in the playoffs. So Scout and Hopebit did. Scout had 126, 11. Actually had 12 deaths. That was surprising. With 31 assists though, he was everywhere and just not finishing the kills. His price kind of jumps 76, 78, 78, 78, 74, 72. And right now he's back up to that 74 price point. So if you don't add this 126 and this 75 in a loss, he really only averages probably, 68 points a game, 69. Whereas Angel didn't get any playoffs and still averages the same amount of points as Scout. I know you don't want to stick to the spring split, but that's all I have to look at right now for stats. Once the summer split starts coming out, my projections will change. But look at these fantasy points when Angel wins. 89, 104, 92, 103, 81, 87, 91. If they're winning, it's because of Angel. Angel's an absolute animal. So I do like Scout, but I'm going to have to pay up a little extra here for Angel. Okay, so now we are, where are we at? 7,200 remaining per player. Alright, let's keep moving. Obviously, I can mess with this too. This isn't locked and loaded. This is just who I like right now. Support. Okay, so Miko is actually the more expensive support, even though it is projected to be the lower of the two games. And Sword Art in a win last year, was really good. I believe I remember Sword Art popping off for almost 100 once. Yeah, 102.4. 30. It's against Victory 5, so don't look into that too much. They didn't win it all last year. But yeah, 36 assists, 4 deaths, 102 points, 63 points, 64 points. Only 52 in a win, so you do have to tread lightly still with Sword Art, but you have to start one of these two, obviously, unless you're going with Missing. Missing actually averaged 10 more points in each of them, but again, he got to play in the playoffs last year, so he popped off for 114 in a 5-game series. Did have an 83 though, and a 73 and an 85 and a 67. So in a win, Missing is a big deal. Missing is helping out Jumeng, Teacher Mom, Bishang. He's all around the map as well, especially with Jumeng in the bot lane. Duan actually had a couple good games last year, but overall was a very not so good support player. Look at, he had 191, and after that 23, 24, 28, 7, 30, 11, 5, and even 52 in a win. So steer clear from Dwan. I actually like Soda a little more than Miyako here. Miyako might be slightly better, but with the bloodier game, you want the support and your team spot to be teams that are for sure going to win, and I really think Suning's going to win. So if I put him there, I obviously can't roster Suning in the team spot because I already have 4 Suning players. But those are the 4 Suning that I really like: SFM, Angel, Hyun Fang, and Sword Art. If you do want to get a little bin action, you can. If you want to get Suning team, you can. I think that the winner of the Wii Gaming and Edward Gaming will be sufficient enough from the team spot if you get that right. And actually, I would even rather roster the loser from the Edward Gaming / Wii Gaming than the loser of the Suning LNG, because I think Edward Gaming Team Wii could probably go all 3. If we look at back here on Bovada, yeah, it's almost a 50-50 that it goes all 3. A slightly heavier favorite than this one to go all 3. I wish that I had the kill projections on here, but it doesn't. Alright, so team spot. Edward Gaming is more expensive too, unfortunately. Alright, and that leaves us with 11,000 for our captain position. So we can get... That's what we'd have to do. We'd have to run a double jungler. So getting a double jungler is not bad. I wish we had $100 more for Scout, though. Let's see. Who was more expensive? Angel. Oh, yeah, Angel was more expensive. Hyun Fang or Hope was more expensive. So yeah, that would give us $11,000 to mess around with the captain position. So obviously I'm not just going to throw Junji in there, have $800 left over. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a bad idea. I'm going to go look at my optimal lineups. This is just my pre-lineup construction video for who I like the most. So again, I like the 4-man stack of SFM and Angel, Hyun Fang, and Sword Art for cash lineups tonight. If you can't get all of those in there, you can get rid of Sword Art and Suning. Team Suning is not a bad idea, but you do want a support or a team. You do want your support and your team to win. I believe that SFM and Junji were the same price. They were, so you can't get any different there in pricing. You can get a little different in AOD to bin, but the problem was that'd be another Suning player. And then at support, team, and captain spot, Edward Gaming players are too expensive. So they did a really good job of making it tough for you to get a 4-man Edward Game or 4-man Suning, 3-man Edward Gaming stack in here. A lot of times it's usually pretty easy with cash lineups. Right now, though, it's looking like a double jungler if you want to get it. It's not the terrible way to go. If you are going to run double jungler, I would actually put SFM at the captain position. And then, so it looks something like this if you want to see really quickly. If you are going to run double jungler rather than double ADC or double mid, we'll go SFM, AOD, Junjia, Angel, Hyun Fang. And then it's up to you, because you have so far 3 Suning and 2 Edward Gaming, and you have enough money to go either way you'd like. So you can go Miyako, Edward Gaming, you can go Miyako Suning, you can go Sword Art, Edward Gaming. So I personally think that Sword Art is the better play at support, and then I would go with Edward Gaming at team, and that'll leave us with our $800 still. So if I'm going to do a stack like that, I'm going to stick with my Sword Art, Hyun Fang, Angel, SFM, AOD, force him to play Junjia and Edward Gaming, which are good players on a 2-man slate. Now, I'm going to quickly go over one more thing before I end this video. If I'm making a tournament lineup, you will have some money left over, because you're not going to be stacking all the expensive players. You're going to try to get different with some leverage stacks. So I personally, like I said, I think that Team Wii is the biggest leverage on this slate. I know other people might say it's LNG, or maybe even say that it's Edward, because everyone's going to 4-man stack Suning. but I think that it's Team We. I think they were hot during the playoffs. They beat some good teams right before they beat OMG, got in the playoffs, upset in the first round, and then they whooped E-Star, and E-Star was on fire. And then they did eventually lose, but I believe they lost to them, and Edward Gaming lost in the same round of Fun Plus Phoenix and Top Esports, who were just in the championships of the MSC. So two of the best teams in the entire world. It's not that crazy that Edward Gaming and We Gaming lost. So if I'm building a tournament lineup, my favorite play is going to be Jumeng. I'm going to play Jumeng at the captain position. I love Jumeng, and his numbers speak for himself in wins. 154, 81, 84, 122, 80, 70, 79, 138, 98. I mean, those are in 3-game slates. He's putting up 140. So if we're going to try to get some leverage with Wii Gaming, Jumeng is where I want it. I'm also going to skip right over to the mid and put in Teacher Ma. Teacher Ma is probably going to be one of the lower owned on the slate, and that makes me happy because Teacher Ma, again, 84 points a game, can pop off at any time. 133, 95, 87, 82, 101, 82. So Teacher Ma is good. Jumeng is good. And then, again, jungler position, give me Bishang. So this is going to be a low-own, good leverage stack for tournaments. Jumeng, Bishang, Teacher Ma. And then for a fourth, if you want to do a fourth with with Wii Gaming, you can. However, I think for small GPPs, the way to go is still a 4-man Suning stack and get your leverage with a 3-man Wii Gaming stack. Don't try to get too crazy with the 4-man Wii Gaming in case they do lose. I think a 4-man Suning stack is still safe. So, top position kind of forces me to go bin there unless I do think that Morgan's going to win. So I might do 2 separate tournaments at that point because I don't like bin enough. But I'm going to stick with him on the chances I think he's going to 2-0 and get games not played. 80 carry, Hyun Fang is an animal. Support, Sword Art is good. And then that gives us Suning Gaming. Leaves us with $1,600 left over, and yet we have some of the best players on the entire slate. If you do want to switch one thing and get Bin out of there because he's a little bit lower scoring last season and just did not perform like we'd like, the one thing I recommend possibly changing is Bishang. He might have a hard time getting kills tonight against a low-owned team. So we would go top with Morgan and then jungler with SFM, which is still more than okay. SFM can put up points like crazy. So that's really all I have for this first video. Let me know in the comments what I can change, what you like, what you don't like. I really would take any constructive criticism would be okay with me. This is my first video ever, like I said. I want to continue making videos. I want to tell you night in and night out what I think is a cash game slate and what I think is a tournament game slate. With both of these being close games, I think it's definitely tournament game slate, small GPPs. Try to get different with a 4-man stack of Suning and get different with a separate 3-man stack. If you are ever curious in how I'm doing or like want to see how my slates are going, again, I'm Scoville Chris on Draftkings. It's the Joe Exotic picture, or Lil Wayne picture with Joe Exotic's haircut. It's pretty funny. Again, I just recently got into League of Legends and CSGO. So maybe I can make some CSGO lineups going forward. If you'd ever like to see those, I probably actually have some CSGO contests. Oh, never mind. No, I can leave. I'm not going to submit this lineup right now. I do have. Are these live or are they upcoming still? Oh, they're live. Okay, so these are my CSGO lineups. Maybe my internet's been pretty bad. Cirque, Breeze, Hen1, JKS, Crimson, Yuri right now. 13 entries, so I only did one lineup. All double ups. The reason I did a bunch of small double ups, and it's kind of funny, is because you get that badge for you get like 2 little like check marks or like V's that tells you like how many contests you played, and then the line for the big win. So I have the big win in one line. I want to get to 1,000 contests played. So I'm still pretty new on here, like I said, but I already got the big win badge quite a while ago on League of Legends. I did 4 of the $267 winner take alls and won all 4, so that was pretty cool. I mean, obviously you can't keep that percentage up forever, but it was a very good month. So going forward, I'm gonna try to make some League of Legends videos and see how people react. I can hopefully start doing them with like my own custom projections and like optimal lineups and stuff up on the screen. But for today, I just wanted to kind of explain League of Legends, explain how I feel I run a tournament versus cash game lineups, and my strategy for tonight. If you are gonna bet on the games, I'd stay away from this one. I really just would. I think it's gonna be a toss up. Team We could get rolled and lose 2-0, but that's not something I'd like to put my money on. Team Was too good in my opinion. They were young last year. Um, Teacher Ma didn't even play the whole year with them. They had Plex for a while, and they just did so much better when Teacher Ma joined. And then, yeah, Team We even made the playoffs too. So you don't want a 9-7, 8-8, and Edward finished on a 2-game losing streak. We finished on a 2-win. So there really is. That's just a coin flip, and it's the first game of the season. I just steer clear of betting on that overall. Just stick to Draftkings for tonight. If you do want to follow me on Twitter, it is Illinois Finest Sports Betting, ILFINEST SPORTSBETTING. I handicap and I post my DraftKings lineups there once the lineups have locked. Other than that, though, be looking out for future videos. I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, in the comments, please tell me what you'd like to see different or what you did enjoy. Other than that, have a good day.